Let's do it right now then.
Sharing it with the world right now.
Right on.
Back again. Another fun-filled episode coming up, right, Josh?
We shouldn't lie to people like that every week, John.
I know. We try so hard, though.
Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! So here we are with the world famous Matt Mask.
Yeah,
welcome to the show, man.
How's it going, fellas?
It's going great now.
Surviving.
We're psyched. Life is good. Can't complain.
Got Skype to work.
Skype is working. Everything's working.
Good.
It's like a miracle.
Yeah, don't jinx it.
Eh? Yeah, we do.
Every time we say that, it'll like suddenly go offline. And we'll be talking to ourselves.
Don't worry. Every week we jinx it, so it's not going to get any better. So what's going on, Matt? So how's it going, Matt?
No, good. Yeah, same old, just taking it easy. Slowly starting to get back into the training routine here now that summer's over. So,
did you get pretty banged up this year, or?
Yeah, just the one finger on the hand. So.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. Did it actually dislocate, and were you just like popping it back in every few minutes?
Well, that's me trying to put it straight. Right.
That's not supposed to do that.
Yeah, she's a little out of shape. So. Yeah, it completely dislocated probably about 8 times that day or whatever. So after the first time, it just kept happening, right?
When did it happen?
I would say, I'm guessing it happened in the semifinals or the quarterfinals against Ron Bath.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that last match he had me over, I was cranking, applying a bunch of back pressure. I was trying to maintain the grip that he was in, so I was squeezing the hand, and I think just a little bit of a combination of everything, kind of, was a little too much load for her. So it's
kind of surprising that it doesn't happen more often. The finger battles everybody gets in. You think that
there's a few, I guess. Quinlan Mendez, he ended up injuring his finger,
right?
And then there's actually quite a few of them I've heard in the last little bit. So. But it's not something to really see, right, until you actually get off the table, or it's like my case, it was out that bad where you notice it while you're at the table, right? So.
That's never good. It's never good when adrenaline's not enough.
Yeah.
We got one person singing you the Canadian national anthem right now, and another person saying that's not Matt Mask. Matt Mask is 7 feet tall. So we have a serious audience tonight. So that's good to see.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know who's singing "O Canada." So. Yeah.
So, all right, the finger thing was incredible, man. It reminded me of like, every once in a while you see a UFC fighter do that, and they like just pull it right back into place. And let's keep going. I love that, man. That's a great spirit. You know what I mean? A lot of people would have just walked away and like gone running for the nearest ambulance or what have you.
Well, I come back and look at it now. I'm wishing I probably would have.
Have you had it looked at by a professional?
Yeah, I got back. I went and got it X-rays just to make sure that none of the joints on it had broken off when it dislocated. Yep. And so he went and got it X-rayed. He said everything looks good, and I'm supposed to keep it splinted for the first 4 to 6 weeks.
Yep.
But you know how that goes, right? About 3 days after that, got a call to go to work, so off came the splint. And
exactly, yeah.
Then I was at the cottage cutting trees down and moving rocks and everything else, so I wasn't wearing the splint. And now, I don't know, he says, you there?
Yep.
Yeah, so it says what happened was the top of the knuckle, you have a tendon that comes across the top.
Mm-hmm.
When it dislocated, that ripped. and he said, what will happen if you keep it straight, the tendon will hold back together. And it feels like if I stretch it out for a bit, I can move my finger up and down.
Mm-hmm.
But like just not wearing the splint for so long, my bottom tendon close my finger was injured, so it's tightened up on me, right? So it doesn't fully open. So just put my hands in my pockets, challenge stuff like that.
Just little things like that.
Yeah, just trying to get change out or keys or
right.
So,
yeah, that sucks, man.
I don't know. Like I'm still able to train with it. It's not quite as strong as what it was, but it's still kind of right. 2 months. So another 4 months I'll ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any kind of like physical therapy they're recommending or anything, or no?
I just went and seen the doctor once, and then just kind of okay. Haven't really been back.
Yeah,
I'm one of those guys, right?
Yeah, I hear you.
So I'll just learn to adapt.
Yeah, it'll straighten out eventually.
So, what? I've dislocated other fingers in my hands, and they've all come back. So it's just, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I hurt my tendon pretty badly training for arm wrestling, and it took about 2 months for it to heal to the point where I feel like it's back to 80 or 90%. They just don't heal as fast as we age, unfortunately.
No. Yeah, and tendon's such a hard thing. It's not like a muscle where it repairs itself so much quicker. You know what I mean? So.
They have these little, if there's like a climbing gym near you, they sell these little, they're like they're almost like a little slinky that you put on your finger, and you move it back and forth, and it like increases the blood flow. Supposedly it improves the healing, but I don't know.
Yeah. I was thinking about maybe trying to sleep with the splint on at night.
Yeah. But. So how long have you been pulling, Matt?
I've been pulling since off and on since 2000. Like 2000, I hit my first competitive tournament. They haven't, never really got as into it as I have been the last couple of years. So I was just kind of I'd be into it for a year or two, and something would happen. I'd take it, get back in a couple of years. Vice versa, always hit the odd tournament here and there. Last couple of years, it's just pretty much consumed the majority of the time.
Right.
Anyway, so.
Yeah, because it kind of seemed like maybe you were more of a force that we didn't recognize yet, but it seemed like you really came on very quick.
Wow, I've always been a bad dude, right? But I just never left far from my area.
Gotcha.
So you see these guys like unless you were competing down in the States, nobody knew, right? Or unless you're competing against like a big name here like Devon or someone on them. But in order to do that, you'd have to go to them Zoltan tournaments in the States anyways. There didn't matter who you beat here unless you went down there and started beating guys.
Yeah, totally. You got to get a camera on you or get a big win on a big name. When was that first time that you kind of realized that people started knowing who Matt Mask was?
I'd probably say that would have been UAL 4 or UAL 5. Was when my name first probably got dropped. Supposed to be a big tournament. Like the top was supposed to be pulling for $50,000 super much. Then I ended up falling through at like last minute.
Right.
Week prior to. So I remember I was actually like that morning I was getting ready to get on the plane. I found out I was cutting weight, and then all of a sudden found out I was within 3 pounds away, and also found out UAL was taking over. So I started Googling stuff, and not 235. It's perfect. Anyway, started eating and got to Vegas and found out they kept the original weight class.
No, that's the worst.
Yeah.
Are you going to Worlds this year, Matt?
Worlds? No, it's too much money to go for just a medallion, right? Like it's, I don't know, different if I had sponsors the whole time and everything was getting paid for.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I want to more go where the money's at right now. Right?
Yeah.
So,
Is that something in the future you would
help a little more financially stable too, right? So
Yep,
I gotta justify to the wife how I'm able to go down to the States and all these places all the time. Right? So it's costing me money. I may not be able to go as much. So
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be fun to see over at like Zloty or something in the future. Maybe when, depending what happens
I lost
with.
all sound there.
Uh-oh.
You hear us? Oh, Matt.
We can just talk about him.
Hello?
I can see you, Matt.
We can hear you. We can hear you, and we can see you.
Send
Do you
him
have
a
any
message,
headphones?
Josh. Send him a message.
Yeah, I'm going to send him a message to get headphones while we talk about him. So what was I going to say? Yeah, it would be awesome to see him at Zloty.
I can't hear a fucking word you guys are saying.
We can hear you.
So I put on some headphones. I just sent him a text here.
Oh, Matt. He hung up.
That's all right. So, I think he would be amazing there because, they don't have a lot of guys that are shaped like him to begin with,
No, and that style of his, is, I think, is a good counter to a lot of those guys. Send him a message saying to get some headphones for Pete's sake.
I did.
Oh, good. Thank you.
We'll see what he says, and we can get him back on here. But I have an exciting show that I want to tell all you guys about because it's either going to be next week or the week after. I'm not sure yet, but we're actually going to bring 2 physical therapists on the show with a little table behind us, so you guys can call in with all the questions you have about arm wrestling injuries that we always ask, and they'll be able to demonstrate, various therapies they would recommend for specific questions. So. It should be pretty awesome, and the 2 people that were trying to get on are from the Tufts Medical School, so they've both been in the field for quite a while. So they're experts. So I think it'll be a fun show for everybody. I know I'm going to be asking a lot of questions.
Yeah, when you told me about that show, I was like, that's a damn good idea. I would never thought of it for sure. So
well, that's why you have me around, man.
I know. I'm trying to give you a compliment.
Well,
and I'm regretting it. Matt, what's up, man?
I will. He needs headphones.
Oh, no.
Now we can't hear him either. This is almost as good as Mike's show when his kid was crawling over his head the whole time.
What happened, Matt?
Let me see if he answers if he saw my message. Yeah, you need headphones. This might be why we haven't been picked up by ESPN yet.
I doubt it.
John, it might be because of this kind of stuff.
I don't think so. I think we're very professional. Oh, he's leaving.
Hopefully he's going to find headphones.
Matt. Oh, he's come back. Never mind. Oh, no, he's leaving
he
again.
Just walked by. This is like a found footage horror movie right now.
I hope not. I hope Matt lives.
If he comes back with an axe, we're going to be witness to something. But, yeah, so anyway, this show is going to be awesome. So I'm going to be asking people for questions all week so we can keep them busy because I don't know how often I'd be able to get them on.
Right.
But I actually went to visit them this week about this little medial epicondylitis, which pretty much every one of us has.
Right.
And they showed me some really cool stuff that I want to share with everybody. But obviously, they could do a much better job of it than I, so I'm going to shut up about it until they come on the show.
Let them explain.
Do you know what disappoints me about these awesome guys like Matt and Devon and a lot of the guys we talk to is that...
But they don't know how to connect to Skype?
Yeah, that's very disappointing. The Skype thing.
It's really...
See, now I have to rearrange my list. First I was going to say, I wish they would go to Worlds.
Oh.
And that they would know how to use Skype, but I'm going to move it around. So let's say Skype's number 1.
Okay,
Learn how to use Skype.
We're on board now.
Totally not our fault.
No.
It's definitely their fault.
Look at all
but then I wish all these guys went to Worlds. I know it's not money, and maybe it's a bigger deal for those of us who are not like epically amazing like these guys are. But it would be fun to see all these guys at Worlds.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
And I think that's where sponsorship is going to eventually come. And I think sponsorship. I think we're a little far away from it because of some of the limitations of. I don't want to bash the leagues too much, but some of the limitations, like where you can't, you have to wear certain clothing, that kind of thing. Like, me and Travis were talking a bit about it, and he talked about it on the show, which is like, that's when you start getting the sponsorship money that allows you to go to those places and do those kind of things. So I think that's kind of where the next step is, and I know that's what happened with powerlifting too. Where supplement companies and that kind of thing were able to start to sponsor these guys, and that's where people start being able to compete and really bringing themselves to that other level, which is kind of scary to think about.
I agree. And the supplement companies are something that, despite the fact I'm not hugely into them or I'm not necessarily a big fan of them, I think they do have a lot of money. And if they could get interested in the sport, they could fly as many people as they wanted to as many places as they wanted.
That's what I'm saying. I think, Matt. I think,
what Matt just told me is that he plugged in headphones and they weren't working either. So he must have a computer like the old one that I used to do this show from. In the meantime, there's some people were asking questions about you, John, and how you did at the tournament last
California?
week. Yeah, in California.
Did all right. Corey Miller beat me 3 times left-handed. Thanks, Corey. Thanks for showing up. No, it was good. I got a good chance to really get a lot of experience pulling Corey. So I kind of, it's good to build up a little game plan sometimes. So, I have a better understanding where my weaknesses are and where my strengths are. I was kind of happy with that too. But no, it was a great tournament. I did okay. I got 4th in the 76s. Corey beat me twice in that class. He sent me to the B-side, and then he got sent to the B-side later, and then we met in the Final Four. I pulled 98s too, and I think I got, I want to say 5th or 6th place. It was somewhere. It was right before the Final Four, which I was actually surprised because it was like, I don't know if anybody else has been in the situation with a big class or a bigger tournament where they feel like they might be in over their head because it's a kind of a gamble, right? It's a money class. So if I get 2 third places, I'm still like, hey, So I'm in the middle of this thing and I'm kind of up there going, how am I still in the 98s? It was just kind of strange. But no, it was a great tournament. Very, very well run. Perfect reffing, I thought. It was a great tournament for a good cause. I can't really speak much better of it. I thought it was great. And
how do you think that John Brown did at that tournament, Matt?
Which tournament?
We were just like making up stuff to talk about while you weren't here because we're not as interesting as you, unfortunately.
We were riffing.
I don't know what happened. I had to switch over to my phone. So
you know what, man? Computers are unpredictable. We just made fun of you for a couple minutes. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, it's fine.
No worries.
I was telling all these guys, Matt, we're having some physical therapists coming on this show either next week or the week after, and I'm going to ask them about your finger and how you can rehab it.
Yeah, ask them. They're probably going to get stretched out, I'm assuming. But
I'm going to show them the video so they can like cringe and squint and do all the stuff that we were doing while we were watching you.
Yeah.
We'll send you the link,
all right,
Matt.
So Matt, what we obviously want to talk about, and a whole bunch of people are sending questions in about Devon, and we loved watching your matches. And basically, I'm going to combine a few of these questions, and it comes down to what do you think you need to do, for next year? I mean, do you have a plan in mind, and also how far away do you think you are from catching them?
With the finger, I've been set back a little bit, obviously. But I'm not far away. I'd say I'm right freaking there. So if you ask him, I'm sure he'll tell you the same thing. So you see it in his eyes. It wasn't easy for him. So, but a few little things I got to work on. He's all about the angles, right?
Yeah.
So he'll work the shit out of them angles until. As soon as he knows where you're going, he'll hit an angle where it's hard to pin him from that area. So you got to be able to adjust from one to another angle while hold him in that position and still maintain in hand position, right? So because he's constantly working. So you gotta once you take the hand from the beginning with him, I believe you gotta make sure you maintain control of the hand, and then you can work him over, and then from there work into another position that's gonna throw him off where he's countering on you're at, right? Exactly what my plan is, I'm not going to tell you because he might be.
Somebody of Andrew Lay says that you're
one of his little birdies always chirping in his ear, eh? So, yeah, I don't have quite the fan base that he does, right? So
Not yet, Matt.
Andrew Lee on here says you've already told everybody what the secret to arm wrestling and that it's midgets and rice. So
midgets and rice, yeah. You got to start with the midgets first, though, right?
Oh.
Once you beat the midgets, you can move on to the rice.
Well, that's a question everybody asks about that. I mean, which one comes first, the midgets or the rice?
Yeah.
Now we know.
It's
So
first, then the rice. Yeah. You got to work up to the rice. So.
And how much of, you do give Devon kind of a hard time when it comes to arm wrestling. So do you think that has to do with your build being similar to his as well?
Absolutely. So he's used to always pulling the shorter arm. Like he's pulled some guys obviously with the longer arm. Like Pushkar has a long arm, but like he's more dealing with the short, stocky guys as opposed to somebody with the length of arm. I'm sure definitely kind of plays a little part in it, right? So, but yeah. Like me and Devon, I love the guy, but I hate the guy, right? Like off the table, we're super good friends. We'll talk all the time, but on the table, it just he aggravates the shit out of me, right? So and if you ever pulled Devon, you'd understand what I'm talking about. So.
I don't know. People talk about it all the time.
Yeah,
They
we
talk
saw
about
it.
It's all the little things.
We saw the video. I get it.
Yeah, so it's
So,
all good.
well, you said you were just getting back to training. When we were speaking about Devon, we know that he's basically focuses on table time over everything else. What's your philosophy, without giving away too many secrets, obviously?
I agree 100%. Table time. I'm gonna add a little more stuff into my routine here now. Just I don't feel as well-rounded as I should be with just the amount of table time I've been doing, because pretty much 95% of what I've done was table time. Like I concentrate on the table time, and I base my workouts all the time. But I'd be doing so much table time that I wasn't able to work some areas. So I think I'm going to slow a little bit on the table time. I'm still going to maintain a bunch of it, but not 3 days a week. We're going to more work for 1 to 2 days a week, and then I'm going to incorporate in some more strength workouts, stuff like that, heavy weights with a lot of holds in between, right? So.
And how has your training changed over the years? When you first started, was it a little different with the table time?
Yeah, it's always training. It's always changing, right? Like you're always constantly adapting. Okay, well, I was doing this, I'm great here, but this kind of lacked a bit. So you're constantly always tweaking, right? If you're not always tweaking, it's because you're the man. You know what I mean? Like right now, I'm sure Devon's training ain't changing. Like his training is probably staying the exact same because it's working for him. So, but. Yeah, but you always got to try to find something to switch it up, right? So, but years ago, I used to do a lot more with weights, or try to mimic arm wrestling with weights. But lately, like as we started training more at my place now, it's more kind of on my schedule. So we have like awesome group of guys. Like once all these guys end up making their way out, like you're gonna see a lot more names from Canada reaching the surface here. So
that sounds good.
Yeah, so we got a lot of bad dudes in the area. So it's great, and there's always a couple arms to pull on. I can set up a practice probably 4 days a week. Every time there will be a different group of guys, right? So.
Awesome, that's always good.
Yeah, that is good. I think it's invaluable if you have a large variety of people to train with, because you probably have noticed this, Matt. If you train with the same group of people all the time, you all fall into similar patterns, and people end up taking advantage of you.
As you're pulling with a guy, like you're constantly trying to find that easier area, and everybody has that one area where they're weaker than the others. So as you're gripping up with the guy, you just, even though you may not be trying to go there, that's where you end up taking them, right? Yeah. So you're always looking for the easier way out. So the more variety of hands you're feeling, the more well-rounded you're going to be, right? So
yeah, the more you start making adjustments without even thinking about it too, right?
Oh, absolutely, right? Yeah. If you get one guy and you just get him training with the best hooker in the world, and that's all he's training with is that hooker all the time, and then all of a sudden he faces a top puller, top roller. Like he's, it's a whole new world for him, right? A whole new ball game that he's never seen before. So and everybody's stronger in other angles than they are. Some guys are designed to be hookers, but they just feel more comfortable top rolling, so they're always top rolling. But meanwhile, while they're top rolling, they got that hook and pressure involved at the same time, right? So it's everybody's got different angles and different feelings to every arm, right? So
yeah. And for you, when you have, there's yourself, there's Ron Bath, there's Devon, there's obviously Marcio, just incredible people in your weight class. And I assume that you don't get that many opportunities to pull them. And of course, they're all training like madmen, just like you are. And in addition to that, with the news that WAL is going to be, broadcasting in Australia and Southeast Asia and other places, to me, that's, even though they haven't officially announced it, it's sort of like a precursor to inviting those countries to participate, as they did with, parts of Europe this year. So the group of people in every class is going to, expand even further. So, are there people that you have your eye on internationally that haven't come to the WAL yet?
Besides the group of people I met when I had the liberty of going down under about 6 months ago or 8 months ago, no, I don't. No, there's nobody over there that's really got me shaking in my boots anyway. So, because there's nobody over there in that weight class that the guys that I've already pulled and I'm already banging with haven't already beaten or competed with, right? Okay. So I'm not. Oh my God! I hope he doesn't come over here. Like, come on over, right? So it's just another name I want to belt add to my list. So
does that give you a little bit of confidence when somebody you trained with has experience in maybe somebody you haven't pulled yet, to give you a little bit of insight?
To an extent, but they'll give me an idea, but like how he's setting up or what he's doing in the setup. But once the go starts, just because an angle for him may feel weak, but it may feel strong for me, right? So once the match begins, it's a completely different scenario, right?
Yeah, I asked because I had pulled Chris Gobby back in July, and I never even touched the guy's hand. And all my training partners had pulled him, and they all lost to him. So I was kind of like, oh, this is not a really great scenario. I don't really have any good, how do I beat him? Well, I don't know. I never have, that kind of thing. So
yeah, well, you don't go inside with him, first of all.
I didn't.
You know exactly where he's going, right?
Yeah.
So unless you take it away from 2 or 3 times, he usually tends to smarten up and he'll try to go somewhere else. But he goes in with that same game plan every time, right?
Yeah.
So
he did.
They had a great match.
Yeah, it was a good match.
It was a great match. What do you walk around at, Matt? This is a question coming from Illinois.
I'm naturally 230. I can get up to 240 if I try really hard. If I'm working lots and she's hot out, I'll be down walking around at 228, 229. So I range anywhere from 230 to 240. I've always wanted to try to get up in weight, but it's just if I get $40 oil, the guy can't eat that much right now. So.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So have you ever pulled Travis?
Travis, that son of a gun. He won't even fucking grip up with me, that prick. Every one of them monster rodeos I've went to Ross I went to, just give me your hand, and you know how he is. He's right up over your thumb, and he won't even just let me feel his hand, right? So I think he knows something maybe in the works here down the road, and or he knows, people will be saying, I want to see you two pull, so he won't even let me feel his hand. I'm sure I'll feel his hand when when the time comes, right?
Yeah.
So
that was a question from JJ. He didn't say where he was, but I agree. I think you guys you must have very similar length arms. And because of your style, you'd be exactly the kind of person I would like to see pull Travis right now, because he's been, crushing inside pullers with that move that he has. But he hasn't faced, an elite top roller I mean, at the the very top of the weight class in a while. So I'm very curious about it.
I would put quite a bit of money on it that Matt's arm is quite a bit longer than Travis's.
Yeah, I think it probably is.
A little longer now. Well, if we're measuring off of the middle finger, I think I'm going to be a little shorter here now. But I lost an inch there, so it might actually be a little longer than me now.
Travis was on the show, and he said he hates doing practice pulling, and he hates screwing around with people after the tournament because he doesn't want anyone to figure him out. Because he has like a complex that maybe he's not as good as he thinks he is,
He's a chicken shit. Well, I could care less, man. Who I pull, when I pull him, I'll pull anybody anytime, or at least feel him. Even if I'm not 100%, I'll just grip up with them, right? So,
yeah.
Like, even after I beat them, I'll tell them exactly what I did and how I beat them. You know what I mean? So it's... it just means that next time I pull them, it's going to be a little more of a challenge for me, right? So
yeah, you know what I've learned over the years too. Like I've after pulled with guys who were very, very close. We had like a quote unquote rivalry where we was kind of back and forth, and I after pull with them and show them things and all that, and then the next time we pull, it'll be the same exact thing. Like a lot of guys don't even retain it.
Yeah, because I think with Travis, there's one little thing with him, and it's once you figure it out, he's fucked. Right, so what just like all these other guys that are they got one area where they really suck, and once everybody knows where that area is, everybody's attacking it, right? Mm-hmm. So like it's I don't think he wants it to get figured out. I don't know, but Travis is a bad dude. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like he can manipulate a match. Like I'm sure he's obviously strong as hell.
Yeah, you have to be.
And you gotta be ready in that millisecond when you're going him, because he'll dictate the beginning of that match. Like that match ain't gonna start until he's ready and when he wants it to start. Right?
Sure.
So he's got you so flustered thinking about he's fucking with your head again that time that next time you don't even realize the match had begun. So
yeah, that's true. And I would say you have the opposite style, man. I mean, you seem to be much more of a guy who's like, let's just pull. You don't want to get into.
Man. Let's just find out who the better, stronger arm wrestler is, right? So I'm not like that's why I love pulling Ron back, because Ron, there's no fuck around, right? It's just, you get up, thumbs down, you close your hands, and it's go. You know what I mean? They're not playing them little games. So, but.
Yeah, I did notice that you and
right. So it's that's the thing with this game. You may not be the strongest guy, but if you can manipulate the hell out of it, you could be the top guy, right? So.
Oh yeah, especially with those at the very, very top, where the percentage of the difference in percentages is so minute.
Oh, there's like everybody has all these guys like Travis and Devon and Marcio and Ron and Chandler. Like they got them all on this huge pedestal that they're untouchable. Nobody can beat them. Oh my God, these guys are superhumans, right? But they're not. Like they're not that bad. You're not that far off of where they are. And once you gain a little bit, you're right there. It's just a matter of fine tuning a couple little things to actually get it done, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. And you even talk, and you even talk about like the hit, where all it takes sometimes is that like microsecond of movement, and it completely changes everything.
Oh, the game, it's everybody's always, a lot of people, like with the new guys, all they're thinking about is the pin line, right?
Right.
And,
sure.
And when you're thinking about the pin line, you're like, there's so much more you're missing out on, because it's not everything from one side to the other. It's the game's won in millimeters and centimeters, right? Just by you starting with your hand a little higher, or your wrist a little up higher, or your wrist a little more on the inside, completely changes where the match is going to be going. So it's a lot of it is big time like a chess game, right? So
big time.
When you're working with your newer guys, what kind of tips do you give them in the beginning?
Look at your hand. Look at your hand and quit trying to push through your body, right? Like push through your arm. So, because everybody goes up and all they're working is just that side pressure. Their ass is away from the table.
Right.
They're sprawled out. Their elbows laying on the top of the table. Right. Like, as soon as you can pick a new arm wrestler, as soon as he steps up to it. Right. So, usually trying to get him to work everything together, and he's going to be a lot more safer, and he's going to end up getting a lot more learning the right way right from the beginning. Right. So.
Right.
Yeah, we've been getting a lot of questions about that kind of stuff, Matt. As the WAL has certainly, it's spreading the sport around quite a bit to a lot of new people, and we focus a lot on stuff that is probably more interesting for those of us who've been arm wrestling for a number of years, but sometimes we neglect people that are just starting out. And, John just did a thing this week about how to avoid getting your arm broken, for an example, which we've all seen at tournaments. I just saw one, unfortunately, at the last tournament that I ran, and it sucks. And sometimes we forget about that, especially talking to guys like you who have been doing it for a long time and are at the elite level, that there's a lot of basics that we skip over. So, I mean, it's good to know that, like, people like you are setting up trainings at your own house where you can train people in a safe way and give them the basic tips and that kind of stuff. And I got people asking, when are you coming to Brazil? When are you coming down to Arkansas? All that kind of stuff. Everybody wants you to come visit them.
Who, me?
Yeah. Not us.
Edson wants to come.
Well, Arkansas is, I'm going to be there in 2 weekends, actually.
Yeah, okay, so there's your answer, Soren. He's coming on the 24th.
There's big, apparently it's like the second biggest bike rodeo that goes on in North America is going to be held down in Arkansas in 2 weekends from now.
Right.
And Monster is a big sponsor in that, and they've asked WAL to actually put something together for a couple hours on the Friday and a couple hours on the Saturday. So they actually asked me and Devon to go up. So we'll be there. We'll be there Friday and Saturday, I'm sure, all day. So anybody that's around, come on out. So I'm sure It's going to be an event. So
super cool.
You just made some of these guys very happy because they're going to be there. All right, let me get a couple of these other questions in here, Matt. There's a couple questions from people. Let me see if I can get everybody here. Scott and Derek and Daniel, I think, are all asking about how you eat. Do you take any supplements? I mean, what does your diet look normally? Is it something you worry about, etc.?
Fuck no. The only time I'll actually watch what I'm eating is usually a couple of weeks before a tournament. So it's like a milkshake a day, right? So at least one milkshake a day. If I'm craving cheeseburgers, I'll eat 6 cheeseburgers, right? If I'm craving an apple pie, I'll sit down and I'll eat myself a half of apple pie, right? So I'm the type of person that I believe in listening to your body, right? Mm-hmm. So if my body's telling me to eat something, well, by golly, why should I argue, right? So
sounds good.
So yeah, it's usually just 2 weeks prior to, I'll try to cut all the bad stuff that everybody says puts weight on out and try to stick to salads and vegetables and chickens and fish and no milkshakes. So.
That's kind of sad. It makes me feel bad for you for those 2 weeks, man.
Fish, man, I have no idea.
What about supplements? Do you take any of them?
I take C, and then what the hell is it called? Ligament joint care or whatever it is. It's just for ligaments and joint pain. You buy it at Nutters. It's made out of eggshell membranes.
Okay.
So that's pretty much, I don't take no whey proteins or anything like that.
No, you got the milkshakes.
Well, yeah.
There you go.
I'll just throw an egg in it, right?
Yeah, what other supplements do you need?
Yeah.
Apple pie and a milkshake.
We joke around about that, but according to sports science, the best
maple syrup.
Maple syrup is good, and one of the best recovery drinks after a workout is chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk. Yeah, milkshakes, chocolate milk, same thing. So,
it's good stuff.
It's colder. Right?
There you go.
I think this so far is my favorite diet we've had on the show. I'm on board with this one, man.
That's one everybody can get on board with. Yeah.
Got to get a lot of poutine in you. So.
Yeah.
Milkshakes,
can't get good
cheeseburgers,
potato down here.
apple pie.
Yeah,
be
apple pie with some ice cream, right?
I hope all you guys out there are taking notes. This is important stuff.
This is a very
that
happy
apple
podcast.
pie, ice cream. What about
Well,
pizza?
you can rewind and play it again, right?
They can. This one's going to be watched a lot. All right, there's a question from Conrad. I don't remember where you're from, Conrad. My bad. But he wants to know, do you train speed at all?
Absolutely, I train speed. Everybody should train speed. Do I do it in practice? Usually not. Like, it's speed for me, I believe, is more that fast reaction of going from a loaded position to snapping your body over.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'll do for my speed training, like a lot of guys, they'll practice hits and they practice tournament style pulling while they're practicing. I don't really care much for that, because that's, if you've noticed where to usually injure yourself the most, and it's usually at tournaments.
Yep.
So I want to be injury free as long as possible. So I'll usually, if I do hit with another person, they don't give any load. But usually I'll just be in my garage by myself. I try to visualize a referee standing there, somebody across the table from me. We grab a grip, and I picture in my head, don't move, good. And I don't even say go, because if you hit on O, you've already missed the trick.
Way too late, yeah.
Don't move, good. And then I'll hit and I'll go through my motion. But it's not so much, everybody thinks it's how fast you are. It's how quick you can do your move flawlessly, I believe, is what's more important. You know what I mean?
I do.
So if you go through, I'll usually start off, I'll go through it nice and smooth. And if I feel any bit of where it has like a cross member or a change in direction in there, I'll reset again, and then I'll do it again. So I'm looking for like a perfect, almost like a hump or a U shape, where it's smooth curvature throughout the whole move, where there's no legs, there's no delays. I'm in a good position with my body the whole time, and then I'll just speed it up. And then it'll be don't move, good, and I'll just snap through it. And I'll usually do that. I try to do that the first couple weeks prior to a tournament every night, and I'll do it 50 to 100 times a night. So when I get able and the referee says don't move, good, I don't have to think about where my body's going to go. It's just an automatic muscle memory reaction, right? So it's got to be smooth throughout, right? So as soon as you feel where there'd be a bit of a change or a lag or something in there, you want somewhere it's smooth all the way through, because if someone's muscles moving and it's going in that direction, if you can keep it smooth throughout, the chances of him being able to tighten it up aren't going to happen. As soon as there's like a pop or a leg, all of a sudden, bing, he tightens up, right? So, and then now she's a battle, right? So,
and how much do you think like something like speed is mental?
Well, it's definitely mental. I think it's huge mental, because you got to be able to get everything in your body doing what you want it to do at the time that you need it to do it. So mental is huge. Like you got to try to visualize something. Like one of the things I'll picture is I just picture a car at the starting line, and 1 foot on the gas and 1 foot on the clutch, and both of them are fucking right to the floor, and then just pop that clutch, right? So you're sitting there when you're at the starting line, and they're saying don't move, you're revving at about 8 or 9 grand, and then when they say go, you just explode, you pop that clutch, right? So yeah.
So let me follow up with that, because I have another question from the Petaluma area from an unpronounceable name. I'm not even going to try. It's a bunch of numbers and letters, so you know who I'm talking about. But anyways, like, do you have advice on leg positioning? And is that something that you worry about? I mean, do you have a specific spot you like to be in, especially when you're getting ready to hit?
Yeah, I want to be comfortable. Like, leg position is huge. Same with the peg arm position, huge. Because if you put your legs in an area where they're going to interfere with the legs on the table, chances are that's not where you want to be setting up, right? While you're going through your move. So I'll usually position myself where when I go through my move or my position, or when I'm defending, that my legs aren't going to be hitting the tables where I'm trying to work around where my legs are. So I have my feet in a good position there, but mostly where I'm comfortable. So no matter if I'm in a losing position, if I'm in a winning position, when I'm starting, that I always feel like I've got a good center of gravity, right? So you want like kind of a wide base. You need 1 foot ahead to work for that back pressure. You need 1 foot left behind to help push you in if you need to come in. You know what I mean? So it's the leg position is huge. Every position your body's in when you start, the difference of starting here and here is huge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if you're here and you're setting up and you get hit, and you get hit here, you're outside of your bubble, you're fucked, right? Mm-hmm. If you're here and you get hit into here, you're still kind of inside your bubble in your strong area. You know, it's still anybody's game, right? As you get further outside your bubble, I believe the further your chances are of going to be a win in that match, right? Mm-hmm. So you just completely knock them down. So.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And, you know, I mean, I've seen a lot of you guys adjust your leg positioning based on the style of your opponent as well. And other people always do it exactly the same. So it's always like hearing about that kind of stuff and the philosophy that goes into it. Because, I mean, we tend to overthink that kind of stuff, but sometimes we also underthink it and we just throw our legs anywhere. And like you said, you end up, you know.
You want to throw them anywhere where you feel comfortable. Like if I can get up to the table and I can move all around the table and my whole body all the way around, and I still feel like I'm supported and my legs aren't bouncing off the legs of the table, then my legs are in the position. So
right.
Cool. Okay, here's another question from Brazil from a different gentleman named Gabriel. He's curious about, do you do any grip specific training? How important do you think that is?
Grip, yes. Like it's not like I think of grip as anything working with the hands. So you always need your hands, but some people think grip where they're squeezing with their fingertips, and that kind of pressure. Mm-hmm. So the fingertip pressure, no. Where you're cupping pressure, where you're working on your grip, where you're just maintaining them inside your grip in this area here.
Yeah.
Because if you're here and you're arm wrestling and you look down and you see your all your fingernails and they're all white, you're making a big mistake, right? Because now you've just created a contact area for somebody to pry off of, and now they're outside of your hand.
100% agree with that.
You're in here and your pressure is more coming through the middle of your hand. When they go to hit or they go to roll out, they'll actually roll inside your hand. They don't longer have a contact area because they're pulling almost against a board. So I more concentrate on the planking motion with my fingers, keeping my fingers here as opposed to this pressure, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, for me, you know, I always thought, and I always try to, when I explain it to newer guys, is that, you know, that flat finger, you know, of course there'll be people who get through that a bit, and that's when the fingers really come into play. They should.
That's where just little adjustments on where your hand was set on theirs will make a huge difference on that as well, on them being able to come out of it, right?
Yeah.
So, or when you start going, then you clamp down, all of a sudden now they're rolling it out, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the biggest thing is, just maintaining that, and then obviously your wrist bending in as opposed to coming out, right? So
I think it's easier to adjust with your fingers as well when you're not clamping down with your fingertips to the same extent as some people do.
Like you can usually tell, like there's not too many times where you grip up with a professional arm wrestler and he gives you the death grip on your hand. He's usually applying a little bit of pressure, but it's usually like this pressure, this pressure, this pressure, but you never feel his fingertips crunching into your hand, right? Like as soon as somebody does that to me, I just lightly giggle inside, right? Because I know I got the match. So
you just drew a nice target on the back of your hand.
Hard to pry off of, right? So
yeah, and it's really like, if you think about it, if you open your hand up, their fingertips are the worst possible place to try to apply pressure.
Well, that's what you're doing, right? As soon as they do that, they're giving you a contact area to pry off of. And that contact area just extended your whole arm by 3 inches. Right?
Exactly, right.
So put a snipe on your arm and they're cranking on it. You know what I mean? So if you're able to maintain this, you just shorten your arm up. And if you can maintain This, you just shorten your arm up that much more, right?
Yeah.
All right, let me see if I can combine. There's 2 more training questions here, and I know you probably have stuff that's very important that you want to get to, John, so I'm going to try to shut up quickly. But in addition, all the table time you do, which obviously, like Devon, you feel is most important, do you do, this is another question from Edson in Brazil, isometrics, elastics, weights? I mean, do you spread your time out amongst those things, or do you like, when you're not doing table time, what is your favorite style of exercise to do, I guess?
My favorite exercise, the one, like if I had one exercise that I can do beyond other, would be I just have a towel, I got a 2-inch pipe wrapped in it, and I hang, depending on how sore I am at the time, anywhere from 20 pounds up to 50, 60 pounds, and I'll sit there and I'll hold it in my hand with it coming down here, and I'll just crank this, right? So, because, you know, that's just this pronation alone, you can do so much damage on the table.
Yep.
Right? So much damage. So, like, bands are usually when I'm driving. Usually I'll have, you know, the fucking configuration hooked up to all the holy shit handles on the truck.
Yep,
And
I have that too. I do that too.
I'll hook it onto my thumbs. I believe, like, the thumb, I believe, is a huge base that a guy should work on. A lot of people don't think about it, but if you ever think about it, especially a top roller, because whenever you're cranking this way, it's that thumb that's leading the way, right? So if your thumb has the capability of doing this, chances are you're usually getting turned upside down, right? If you can keep that thumb tight and over this way more, you're keeping him further away from your hand, because the further your thumb is out here, the less grouping he has around your hand. If you can spread your thumb out, your hand comes further apart from theirs, right?
Sure.
So, giving away top roll secrets over here. You guys don't listen to that part. Don't listen to that part.
It's his hand control after all.
It is hand control.
So thumb is huge, but like a little bit of bands. Like I said, I'm just starting to get into more heavy weights with the static holds. Chin-ups. I love chin-ups. Chin-ups, I believe, are one of the best for you. Just keeping yourself tight, especially not doing the full range chin-ups. Because you have a tendency of being strong in this position. I don't want to be strong out here. I want to be strong here, right? So I'll usually keep mine just short, keep my arms at about 90 degrees or whatever. So,
do you keep your wrists in while you're doing them?
Yeah, I try to. I'll usually them cable hand dealy thingies there you get for fucking flies and shit. I hang them off my rafters, and then I put the grips on them. So it actually wants to roll your hand out. So while you're doing your chin-ups, I'm trying to maintain this while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So because you same thing, no matter what you're doing on the table, you're never in this position, right? So, you always wanna be here. So.
Have you pulled Crazy George and how to go?
What's that? Sorry.
Crazy George, how do you do against him?
How did I do against him?
Yeah, I've assumed you've pulled him at least once out there. How do you do against him?
I've never pulled Crazy George.
Really? Wow.
Never. Fuck that old cocksucker on. I know he ain't ever gonna watch this because he's not an electronic guy himself. So. Yeah. So no, I've never pulled Crazy George. I guess you could say I've come close to pulling Crazy George because I've pulled Devon. Eh?
Yeah, right. At regionals, it was basically George, big version of George.
Yeah, the new King of the Queens move.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Evan just said he's going to tell George you said that. So
oh God.
Oh, okay, perfect. I think me and George are on good terms, so I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out in a couple of weeks after Evan talks to him.
Yeah, I mean, Crazy George gives everybody a hard time. Unless you really know what you're doing, and that's
even more so once you actually really know him, right?
Yeah, exactly. I guess.
Yeah, he could be a little bit of a loon ball. That guy, super super nice guy, but
Yeah,
I wouldn't really want to piss him off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the sport like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A lot of characters.
Yeah. So
Sorry, go ahead, John.
How important, Matt, do you think endurance is for the sport?
huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Look what fucking Devon's doing, everybody. Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, I don't think he's not stronger than any of us. He's just he's working them angles, and he's like he said it himself, he's bleeding us out, right? So like, and if you look at it, like, if you think about it, usually when you get to a certain level of arm wrestling, it's not too often you're training on this side of the table. Usually you're letting everybody get everything they want, and you're usually on this side of the table.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So majority of us, like stronger guys, we're stronger here than we are over here, right? So a guy like Devon, with his endurance being so up, you want to get it over quick, but you're playing with him where he's strongest, right? And usually most of us are weakest. You know, so because 90% of the table time that we're doing is usually on the other side of the table,
right?
And then we take it back. So we're constantly playing in his field, and it's, you know, when he's working them angles, he's bleeding you, right? But how often do you see it, unless Devon's trying to savor his energy for the next match, where he's trying to go in there and pin, right? Like even when I was gripping, when we were pulling on that left match, and I was almost done. Like my arm was blowing up, and I'm looking at him, come on and pin me, right? And he was, but he couldn't. Right, he's like, I can't because I wasn't bled out enough for him, because he's not actually that strong in that area, because he's always training over here, right? So if you can almost get him to where he's trying to pin you,
right? Yeah. So his hold is incredibly good.
So much higher that it's, you know, like it's every second that match goes on, it goes more into his favor, right?
Yeah.
So
that was one of my favorite parts of that whole this season, in my opinion, was when you're sitting there and you're like, go pin it, and he's like, I don't want to. And then you said, no, pin it. And he said, I can't. That was my favorite part. That was one of my favorite parts.
So I know you don't want to give away your secrets or your plan, but I mean, can you answer like a general question? Do you feel like, improving your endurance is the correct pathway, or more of the angles? This is a question from Evan. I have what I think you're going to say, but I'm curious to see what you're going to say.
Definitely, obviously, the endurance. You know, I mean, I thought my endurance was badass, but apparently not. But I got to tweak that a bit. But it's more on what I was just talking about, being stronger in that winning position, right? So I'm working on a few here where I'm actually holding where I'm going to be a lot stronger in that winning position, as opposed to, because you train here all day, you're not getting any stronger over here. You know what I mean? You're just getting stronger here.
Yep.
So I got to work on, doing things that I'm not able to get to on the table with some of my guys, where I'm just working on being stronger in that finishing position, right? Because it's just that little bit. Like it's not much. You know what I mean? So
when you saw Brzezinski beat him last year, I mean, did you pick up anything from those matches?
Obviously don't go inside with the guy, right? But
right.
He playing always say, I could have told him that, right? But you don't need to go inside with him to figure it out. But it was Brzezinski, man. Like he felt incredible. Like I had pulled him a couple months prior to that at Mike Gould Classic,
right?
And it wasn't even the same Brzezinski, right? Like he had come back, and it was just grabbed onto his hand, and I was like, holy shit, right? Like, what are you doing in your hand? And he kind of giggled. He was getting a little bigger, right? I was like, a little bigger. Like, he almost felt human, right? And then I grabbed onto him, and it was like, it felt like his thumb was the ball of a foot, right? Like like that's, that was one of the things that we realized, worked the hell out of that thumb, right? Beat that thumb. So But yeah, like the Brzezinski was on a different level with his hand strength that year. Obviously, you know, I thought when I gripped up and I went inside with him, even though he wasn't as good, wasn't feeling as good as what he was, like his inside power to me felt retarded. So when I seen Devon do that to him, I was just like, holy shit, you know?
Yeah.
So, note to self, right? But, you know.
Yeah, it's so funny, like what a brick, like, you know, maybe 10 or 20 pounds of pressure that someone else has that's a little more than you just feels like a brick wall.
Oh, it's so much. Like, it's, you know, like even if you can generate a half a pound more pressure, you know what I mean? Like how much, you know, you take a half a pound, how long does it take for that half a pound to drop from here to here, right? Like it's
right.
You know, like that's a big difference, right? So
Yeah, because everybody thinks that, like, you know, like that guy's so much stronger than me. He might not be so much stronger.
well, he's not, right? Like everybody, like, you know, I'm out here to tell everybody, like, you know, all these guys, they ain't superheroes. You know what I mean? Quit telling them they're superheroes. Ask Travis, he'll tell you he's a superhero, but he's, you know, they ain't superheroes, right? We're like everybody's like that far away. You know what I mean? And one of the biggest things is mentally, right? Like you see guys, they'll go to a freaking tournament. Oh fuck, this guy's sure well I'm gonna lose.
Oh my god, yes.
Damn right you're gonna lose. You know what I mean? Like, so you just gave it to him, you know?
Right.
So,
yeah, you're gonna lose because you said you're gonna. Yeah.
I think for a second that, you know, you don't stand a chance against these guys, then you know what I mean? Like I remember I used to watch videos of John and Devon and Travis, all them, like years ago when I'd be sitting in my basement and I was just getting into it. And I was telling my lady, this is one day I'm going to be pulling these guys, I'm going to be beating them. And she's kind of rolling her eyes at me. Like, yeah, okay. I was like, no, like even then when I was just getting into it, I felt like I had the capability of possibly being able to do it, right? So if you don't think you're going to be able to do it, if I would have told anybody, yeah, I'm going to beat Devon one, you know, like I used to say it all the time, I'm going to beat him one day, or I'm going to pull, I'm going to bang with him, and everybody just kind of laughed at me. Yeah, okay, they're a fucking big guy, you know. Whatever. Now we're right there, right?
Yeah.
So, you know,
A little bit of time, a little bit of work, consistency.
Yeah. I just gotta fine tuning stuff, right? So, yeah, maybe fine tuning. Maybe I should try eating healthy. Hey.
Do you smoke? Are you a smoker, man?
Yeah. Am I a smoker?
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to say it on.
Yeah. I think you're getting.
Yeah.
People are telling you they're gonna send you some nicotine patches, man, to get you.
Yeah,
quit.
that'll probably help. I'd probably tell you who that is too. Yeah. So yeah, no, I gotta quit, but just like I said, my body's telling me, so I'm gonna give it to it.
Yeah. Quit eating apple pie before that.
Yeah.
You could probably fly to Brazil if you quit smoking for a couple weeks, you know?
Yeah, probably, but not with
here's a good question.
In the Canadian dollar, I'm up north, right?
Exactly.
I'm not flying on your high class American dollars, right?
Yeah.
Your highfalutin American dollars.
Yeah, we got the loony.
Yeah. Here's a good question from Evan again. You know, we've been hearing about this from WAL for a while. The potential super matches might be coming down the pike at some point in the near future. So, first of all, which format do you prefer, tournament or super matches? And other than Devon, which is the obvious answer, and maybe other than Ron Bath, is there anyone that you would really like to have a super match with? Because I would assume those two guys would be number 1 and 2 on your list.
Yeah, definitely. I got, you know, I want to bust up Ron's finger. So, Ron, that guy Ron is one of the best dudes straight across guys you can meet in this sport. So I can't say anything bad. He's a hard guy to hate at the table, right?
Sure.
You got to dig deep to hate that guy. So, but I'd like to pull Ron. I'd like to pull Devon. Obviously. One guy I wanted to pull Marcio for ages. Like, I thought we were going to get our chance there in the in the semifinals, or going for third and fourth place after I lost her on, but with the finger, it didn't allow me to do that. But I've wanted a piece of Barbosa for a while.
You guys had a great match at like
one
of the UALs.
I want to pull Tom Nelson to shut him up. Other than that, I can't. Not nobody. I've already pulled most of the other guys. But guys, I'd want to pull left arm again. But so,
which format do you prefer? Do you like the tournament or the super match?
I love tournament style. Like it's plays with my game, right? Like speed kills. Like you get them guys that are barn burner hookers. Like if you're going to pull him fresh, it may not be as easy. When you're pulling him fresh, as opposed to if he's already barn burned in a hook with one or two guys. Sure. So it makes your day a little easier. And then also being able to go home saying you beat this guy, and this guy in the same day is, another, self-fulfilling gratitude or whatever at the time, right?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I like both. They both got their pros, they both got their cons. It's a more super match. It's more you're just concentrating on one person. Tournament style, you got to be more well-rounded. It's not necessarily the strongest guy is going to win. It's not necessarily going to be the fastest guy is going to win. It's somewhere in between, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So, you got to be definitely more rounded with the tournament style. So, because super match, it's okay. Well, he just did this on me. It felt weird. If I go this way, I might have it, right?
Right.
So it's just kind of a back and forth game, right? So especially if the guys are somewhat equal strength, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I like both of them for the same reasons. I like super matches because I kind of am the endurance guy, so I really like the idea of every bit of energy I put into that guy, he's gonna feel it the next time I pull him.
Well, that's just there. You'll be one of them guys where if you're concentrating on one person, you can kill him. But if you got to concentrate on three, you're flat, right? So because you'll all you're doing is you're just setting everybody else up. That guy's got to pull down the road, right?
Right.
So you're tiring them out, but for the next person that's going to pull them, not you. Yeah, you're the type of guy I love having in my bracket, just on opposite end.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So, John, every time John flexes, I always ask somebody about steroids.
I just pointed myself.
I'm just saying that every time you do that, I'm obligated to ask our guest about what he thinks about steroids and should there be testing or not.
Should there be tests? I believe in the areas. Like when you're going to a world competition level, I believe there should be some form of testing, like there already is with the World Arm Wrestling Federation. With WL, I believe there should be testing to an extent. Like you look at the WAF path, and it's you take a certain type of creatine, and you're fucked, or a certain type of protein, and you're hooped, or a cough medicine, or I think it should be more, especially too as some guys, they start getting up in age, their testosterone levels start to drop. So you see a doctor, he's giving you a dosage or whatever, bring your testosterone level. Sometimes it goes up a little bit. I think it should be within a certain parameter.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I don't, I don't believe that steroids are as bad as what they say it is. You know what I mean? Like it's cheating, but it's only cheating if you're abusing, right? I believe anyways. So
I think I understand the distinction.
I think it should be tested to a degree.
Right.
Where if a guy's so fucking goddamn jacked where he's going to shorten up his fucking lifespan by 10 years, then right?
Yeah.
But if he's just doing it just to maintain that equal balance, then, I don't think that a guy should stop taking a cough medicine because he's going to be fucking going.
Right.
Yeah, the WADA list, what you're talking about, the World Anti-Doping Agency, it's a little rough. Yeah, because there's a lot of over-the-counter stuff that's kind of, you get popped with things.
It needs to be tweaked. Like, they've got to be able to have a way where, like, a normal body is this, a guy taking something is this, and a guy abusing the hell out of it is this, and find that fine line. And, we know you're taking something, but it's not crazy. So it's, it's keeping you in that range, right? Yeah. So, but I personally could care less if I'm pulling somebody and he's on something. Like, it's, I don't know, like, it's so hard to say, because you'll see some guys on TV and stuff, something, oh man, that guy's got to be on something. Holy fuck, look at the size of him. And then you go and you grip up with him and you pull him, and you're like, fuck, that guy's on something, man. So it's, it's like, I could care less if somebody's taking something or not, right? Like, that's your life. You may win one championship, but I'm not going to take anything, or I'm going to take minimal, and I'm going to win 12 of these sons of bitches. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have a hard time putting a lot of thought into it, or a lot of concern into it, just because even if they do introduce good testing, like, there are people who, look at the UFC. They have great testing in the UFC, and everybody's getting popped. People still take. So you got to wonder who's cheating the test too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's not too many that aren't on something, some form or another, just for recovery sakes. You know what I mean? Like, especially, like, it's not like we're making $1 million or $2 million a year doing this. Like, every single one of us have to go to work the next day, or go swing a hammer, or, you know what I mean? Like, when you're beat up from arm wrestling, it's almost impossible to maintain a full, if you're not, doing something to help yourself recover quicker, right?
Yeah. Sure.
But yeah, like, I just don't agree with the guys that are taking it above and beyond, right? But like, it's just, those will be the guys that are dropping dead, right? Like, it's like anything. A glass of wine a day is good for you, but a bottle a day ain't so much. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's a good distinction.
Everything's good in moderation, as long as you're not abusing the shit out of it, right?
Yeah, and that's the difficult part about, like, bigger network, sponsorship, that kind of thing, is that they're going to start demanding. It's just the way it is. And
and I don't think they're going to start demanding until it gets a big enough fan base.
Exactly, right.
Until it's $1 million to where you have 500,000 people watching it, and you have 100,000 people of them that are, oh, that's just wrong. I bet you they're on something. They should be tested. You know what I mean? And like everything in this world, when the minority isn't happy about something, you got to change it to make everybody, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, too, like, when everybody's wearing a Nike arm warmer, like, and that kind of stuff, where there's sponsorship from big companies.
Yeah, you don't want to, like, and when you, like, just like you said, like Nike, like, if 20% of their people ain't going to want to use something because you're sponsoring this big sport, or this big thing that you're worried that is promoting drug use and everything else, well, by golly, they're going to start testing to keep that 20%.
Exactly right.
Because if they start testing them, them other 80% aren't going to be like, well, they're testing now. Well, I'm not going to fucking watch that. You know what? they give a fuck, right? It's usually the percentage of people that are all pissed off about it, right? So, and you got to keep it.
Legitimate point.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
And I asked a few people if they had any questions, because we've already kept you on there a while, but I want to see, a couple of them are good. So Chase is asking about, this is a good question. Do you have, like, advice for people training in the straps, or are there certain specific things that you do to try to improve your ability in them?
Yeah, pull in them. The more you pull in them, the more you're going to figure them out. A lot of people seem to think that, we're in the strap, we're just strapped in now. You've just applied a tool to your hand, right? So just like everything, you're playing football, it's a helmet isn't to protect your head. Some guys think of it as, I got a helmet on my hand, I can use it as a fucking battering ram.
Exactly.
Right? So, you know what I mean? Like, you've got a tool attached to your hand, so use it, right? Like, you'd be surprised on how many angles you can manipulate somebody into without even closing your hand. Like, you can be pulling them in this way, but just working that strap more, you can cause the guy on the other side of the table like tremendous amounts of fucking bad feelings, right? Like, it's odd. It's not good, right? So the more people learn to not so much rely on their grip when they're in the strap, I think you're going to end up getting a better outcome. Obviously, positioning when you first start in the strap, everybody knows if you're down here, you're going to lose. If you're up here, you're in a better position, obviously, with the strap, right? Everybody's always fighting for it. So, you know, it's as long as it's fair from the beginning, but if you work that strap a lot more, like the more you pull your hand away from their hand against that strap, his wrist's going to start doing this, right? The more you're pulling that strap this way away from his hand, the more he's cutting into a hook on you, right? So you can manipulate the hell out of that strap to determine where you're going to be going in that game, right? And if you're ever there and you feel comfortable and buddy's bitching, don't let it go. Like, just keep it, right? Unless the ref is bitching at you, don't, that doesn't feel good. Well, does that feel better? Right? Well, yes, thank you. Much obliged. Right?
What a kind guy.
Yeah, that's the Canadian thing to do.
Yeah, the thing that kills me is the universal. I hear it all the time is like, oh, you put that strap on, like it's pretty much going to go in a hook now. And it's like, no, like why would you take out the cockerel?
What you're letting him get out of your hand when that strap goes in, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you set up and they're tightening that strap up and you keep your hand straight the whole time, you're okay. But if you start going, and as soon as you let your wrist go at all while they're applying that strap, you've just given something to him if he keeps his hand straight that you're never going to get back.
Yep.
And that gives it back to you, right? So it's the whole time when they're even throwing the buckle first over your hand before they make the first wrap, you're constantly thinking about where your hand is with your opponent's hand to making sure that you're at least sitting on a fair game, right?
Yep.
When they're tightening the strap up, you're always, if you don't want to go inside, never once let your wrist go this way. Keep it always coming out the whole time, right? So, like, it's so much pressure is just by feeling off of the strap. Like, you know right away when that strap gets tight and you're usually like giggling inside, or you're fucking, oh, god damn it, and you're the guy fighting for everything, right?
Right. Yeah, for sure.